and still he taught me true. You got to handle the flat stick too. When it comes along, I'd rather be straight. Can you get the wedge as close as I can get the eight? I'll meet you on the green where everybody knows you tried for the show, but you put for the dough.
Welcome, everyone. This is a special edition here on our golf show here with Mr. George Honeycutt. This is something that has been eating at me all weekend. This has been one of those weekends where Tiger Woods played the worst round of golf in his career, and you listen to all the comments from Rocco Mediate, David Faraday, Brandel Chambly, and then the comments on social media from all of the different instructors and people around the world, their opinions and their comments. And it was something that just absolutely ate me alive as a former player on the PGA Tour and now as an instructor and coach. I've been fortunate enough to have coached and taught a U.S. Junior champion, PGA Tour players, and some up-and-coming stars in the high school and college ranks. I think that golf nowadays, George, has gotten to a point to where, everything is too technically done.
Mm-hmm.
It's more about numbers, TrackMan, flight scope, that kind of stuff.
Robotic.
It's very robotic and very, I don't want to say it and upset people, but it's going to, so be it. But it's too much of the computer geek scenario.
Mm-hmm.
Golf, to me, is a game between an individual, the club, the ground, and getting it in the hole as fast as you can.
Mm-hmm.
Improving with golf has to do with practice, more practice, and more practice. And as they used to say, get in the dirt. You're going to get it out of the dirt by hitting balls and practicing.
Right.
When it comes to Tiger Woods, I look at all the comments here on social media, and just one here, and I'm not going to call the individual out, but it says, I don't agree with Rocco, but the football coach analogy doesn't float. Most have played the game, and they are coaching, not teaching. Not sure if anyone is teaching Peyton how to run. Well, I have to disagree with that 150,000%.
Mm-hmm.
Golf and coaching football, it's identical.
Mm-hmm.
You're teaching golf, you're coaching.
Mm-hmm.
If you're out there just teaching a golf swing, then you are not the complete golf instructor, the golf coach. You're just someone teaching.
Mm-hmm.
You're someone that has learned a system, and you can go out from what you've learned and tell somebody how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Question is, can you stand there and do it for them? Can you show them exactly what you're trying to teach them? Tiger Woods' scenario is, yes, he's rusty. No question about it. The problem is, I think when he's practicing, George, and the thing that sticks out most in my mind is whether it's Sean Foley, Hank Haney, or Chris Como, they're looking at numbers from a machine. And when they hit shots or make swings and they get the numbers they want, okay, we got it. We've done it 5, 6 times in a row, 10 times in a row. We're good. We're done. I think it's more of get out, work on your tempo, your pace. You know the plane you're trying to create. You have drills you do to get you in the positions you want. Use the launch monitors for club head speed, ball speed, spin rates, and launch angles.
Mm-hmm.
Quit using it to teach yourself how to play the game. You want to play the game, get your butt out on the practice tee, get out on the golf course.
It would really be my understanding, Hugh, that Tiger would be using the apparatuses that you refer to, the technologies, to make sure that his equipment is performing.
That's exactly right.
To
and that
check
would be
his
it.
equipment.
He's using it to teach and to learn and to swing a golf swing.
In the 4th rendition that he's on now.
And to me, it shows how, everybody, you look at all these comments, well, the swing looks good. It doesn't look that far off. And they're saying, well, it's despicable. Rocco's, it's uncalled for what he said. The man's speaking the truth, folks. You're talking to an individual here that played the tour for 14 years. You're listening to a guy on Faraday who has played a lot longer than that. I grew up out there with my father, with Mr. Player and Mr. Palmer. Tiger and I were rookies together on the PGA Tour. These are people that know what it's like to go through these bad times, to go through spells to where you don't feel like you can absolutely hit it through a plate glass window
Right.
from 15 feet.
Right.
There's more truth to what Brandel and what Rocco have said that everyone on this social media, on Facebook, Twitter, what is disagreeing with, because they are your typical golf academy graduate instructors that learned a system and teach a system, not the game of golf. The game of golf is about practice and working and being able, if you're going to teach it, you better be able to play it, and you better be able to show somebody how to do it.
You know, Hugh, I remember back in the day, Tiger's winning the amateurs back-to-back. He's coming into the PGA Tour. He's picking up his, 70-plus wins. Back in the younger days, people referred to Tiger as having some of the best hands that they've seen since, this person or that person. He's got more in tune with the short game than this person or this person. Everything had to do with, as you say, the touch, the feel, the creativity of, in a short game or in putting. I mean, we remember for 5 years he didn't miss a putt inside of 5 feet. From 5 feet or in,
Yeah.
he didn't miss a putt for 5 years. That record will never be broke. And I think he's gotten so working with these, as you refer to them, and I agree with you, geek instructors that are teaching these numbers. I mean, where does Como get his playing experience?
The guys, apparently the guy can play a little bit. I mean, Sean
Okay.
Foley could play a little bit.
I can play a little
but
bit.
Have you played when the bell went ding ding and you're standing on the 18th tee and you couldn't drive a tack up your rear end because you're that nervous and scared?
Yeah.
Well, I have.
Yeah.
Tiger has. Rocco has.
Yeah.
Brandel has.
Yeah, Brandel has.
I mean, we've all won different. I mean, I never won on the tour, but I won 4 times on the web.com.
Right.
I've won overseas. I've won the Western Am. For these people to not understand, you've got to be able to go from the practice tee to the golf course, and you've got to be able to produce. Tiger Woods, you're talking about, you look at what he says. Well, I'm trying to get my pitching and chipping is shallower than it used to be. Who says you've got to chip the way you swing a golf club?
Right.
You've got 13 clubs and a putter in your bag.
Yeah.
You better learn how to swing it to where it's the same for all 13 clubs.
See, I didn't understand his comments, and I'm sitting here going, why
It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life,
Right,
George. It's the
right,
dumbest thing I've ever
exactly.
heard. You look at Mickelson. That guy's got an imagination that honestly, it's ridiculous.
One of the more creative minds.
It's almost too creative.
Like a Bubba.
It's almost too creative.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's one of those that learn to play. Get back to playing the game. He's not playing the game. He thinks that like this guy saying it's not like coaching football. Well, you don't see a football coach stand there and say, okay, here's the game plan. We're going to run it 3 times and punt.
Unless you're
Run
the
it
Falcons.
2 up the middle, throw a pass and punt. There's always versatility and change in a football game, a basketball game.
Right.
Why do you think they call timeouts?
Right.
All right. You've got a player and a caddy. You've got the best talent that's ever played this game that went out and shot 44 on the back 9 at Phoenix, made an 8 on number 15, and this guy can't drive it in a 100-acre field.
Mm-hmm.
So don't tell me his golf swing is not far off when you're driving it 40 yards off in a desert somewhere.
Right.
And you've got fairways that are 35 yards wide. These are the best in the world. You should, and if you're not hitting drivers in the fairway, why do you keep hitting it?
Nota Begay made a comment that he was very impressed with his swing speed. He's increased his swing speed to 124, and he's gone from 115 last year before the last injury to now 124. He's making great strides. And I'm sitting here thinking, though, Hugh, again, you've heard me state as an amateur looking in, Tiger could swing at 70% and beat and win 6 times a year.
Well,
last year he swung at 115 and won 5 times.
Well, you're taking it. You're taking everything that I'm going to next. Everybody's so worried about how far everybody's hitting it now. Mm-hmm. Does Zach Johnson hit it very far?
No.
Does David Toms hit it very far?
No.
Jerry Kelly, he's my age. He's a friend of mine. Does he hit it very far? No, he hits it far enough.
Yeah.
but you have 13 clubs in a putter. You learn to use them all. You learn to score and shoot, and all that matters is that number you put in that little box on that scorecard.
Right.
At the end of the day, that's all that matters. If you can hit fairways and you can hit greens and give yourself opportunities, you're going to play well. And Tiger is getting older. This worrying about how far he hits it and his club head speed and all that is the dumbest, most asinine, ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life. Get to where you hit the ball solid, you drive it in the fairway, you drive it and you put it up on the green, whether you're working fat to the pin or whatever. If you get confident enough where you can shoot at pins, then go for it. He's not doing that. He's worried about how far the ball's going, his club head speed, his ball speed, and all this, that, and the other. Mm-hmm. Change, adaptation is necessary throughout your career. Mr. Palmer did it. Mr. Player did it. Mr. Nicklaus has done it. You look at all the great players. Nick Faldo did it. Change.
Right.
Adapt. You may not be the longest hitter anymore, but if you can go out and shoot the lowest scores, you're still the best player in the world.
And, yeah.
So check your ego at the door. Change your game and adapt it to where you can play your best golf and get back to practicing. Get back to where you're hitting balls, you're taking it to the dirt, so to speak, as Mr. Trevino used to say, and work on it. Get your feel back. Learn to play golf. Quit worrying about, is this right or is this speed or this angle. Get the basis of the system you want to use for your golf swing, whether it's stack and tilt, whether it's the Jimmy Ballard rock and block, or if it's the Ledbetter, system, whatever it is, and use your tempo and pace. Because I promise you, it's just like they were saying. I wish he would go see Mr. Toski. It's what Brandel was saying.
Right.
All right. You go see Mr. Toski. What do you think the first thing he's going to tell him? Slow down. Give me tempo and give me pace.
Right.
The more solid you hit it, the straighter you're going to hit it, and the further you're going to hit it. And it takes the stress and the tension out of the golf swing. You watch him this past weekend, he never made a golf swing where he looked comfortable swinging the golf club. He didn't know where it was going. He didn't know where the club was.
Right.
And just the comments and the things that are going on in social media are just ridiculous, because these people think, I've gone and studied this, or I've learned this from this person, and I've, they have no idea what it's like to play under the gun.
Sure.
I mean, and that's what bothers me the most is, I've taught golf now. I don't play anymore. But you know what? If you can't control your emotions, you can't control your golf swing, whether, you're not getting quick, your pace is the same, you're not going to play well.
The media lives off social media. Okay, I mean, it was derived that, it created that, and so we all live in that world now. Friday evening after Tiger's round of 82, the comments was made that by individual that you just mentioned, and also one other PGA Tour player that was sitting on the panel, that hat in hand, if Tiger's told to put a hat on, strip butt naked, climb on the top of the Golden Gate Bridge and jump off, if Butch tells him to do that for him to get back with him, then that's what Tiger should do. Do you agree?
Yeah, I agree if he's going to listen. Because the problem is Tiger got to a certain point. Tiger got to where he was the best, and he says, I've got to do this to get better. And he didn't have to do a dadgum
Great
thing.
comment. Saturday morning, one Hank Haney makes the comment that it's all fine and dandy as to whoever Tiger works with, but the biggest challenge that he had and the biggest learning curve he had when working with Tiger was that to make Tiger listen, you had to make Tiger think it was his idea first.
And here's the difference, okay? And I watched this the other day when they had Frank Nobilo introducing him going to CBS as an announcer, and you have him, Jim Nance, and Nick Faldo sitting there. And you listen to Nick Faldo talk about Tiger and his golf swing and his golf game and what's going on. Nick Faldo was smart enough to understand the technical aspects that Ledbetter taught him and implemented that into the feel part of the golf swing and into his golf swing. Tiger went to Stanford. Tiger's a smart
But
guy.
he didn't let it take over his feel.
No, but Tiger is not smart enough to distinguish between the two. He's caught up in the technical part of it, but can't get it involved into the feel part of it. And I base that off of the people he works with. Not, number one, they're trying to make him happy instead of demanding what's necessary for him to achieve what he wants.
If he wants that.
It doesn't matter if he wants it. If you're going to teach, if he wants to learn it and he wants to get technical with it, because you've heard me teach. I teach very simple.
Yeah.
The technical's in there, but I don't talk about it because I don't want to confuse somebody.
Right.
But if he wants to do it, he is going to do it the way the instructor wants to do it and the way it needs to be done for it to help him improve. If he does not, Tiger Woods is done. Tiger Woods is done. Because right now, this guy cannot hit a chip shot. He's hitting bump and runs from 20 yards off a green. Are you kidding me?
He's trying to carry 7 irons over a bunker and get it to stop.
I mean, it's gotten to a point where it's in his head. He's got to get
got
back.
the yips.
I don't care if he's got the yips or not. Get
He's
back
got the
into
yips.
practicing and playing. Get back into where you're spending time outside of your house, hitting balls, chipping, going out and playing golf, hitting 3-4 balls off the tee, hitting 3 or 4 balls into greens, around the greens, out of bunkers, putts, whatever, to get back into the feel part of golf. Golf is based off of feel. I don't care who you are. You've got to understand and feel it. If you don't, your confidence level will never grow and never improve.
Sad in the fact that Friday we saw what probably was one of the better field players in the game that we know, the history of the game. He's totally lost it.
He's lost it. And the sad part is, I mean, and I'm not saying George's numbers aren't important, because they are, with the new equipment, the new shafts, the new balls and all that. But you only need to understand 4 simple things: launch angle, spin rate, club head speed, and ball speed. Other than that, it's coming in from this angle, you got to hit up on a driver to do this and that. They can say what they want from TrackMan. And I know I've got some really good friends that teach, and they're all into this TrackMan. They're talking about these numbers. I will tell you this right now, and if I could talk to Mr. Toski and get him on the line and ask him, tell me a shot in golf that you hit up on. People say, you hit up on a driver and you hit up on a putt. Wrong. There is not a shot in golf you hit up on. Every shot is a descending blow. A driver, yes, it's at the base of that arc.
It's at the bottom. Yeah.
But it's not coming up. Because if you're not hitting down, that ball does not spin to get in the air. And for these people to keep saying you've got to be hitting up, doing this, and it blows my mind.
Right.
And it's just all based
And I
off
see
of
amateurs all the time that say, I'm trying to work on catching it on the upswing, and all they're doing is just squibbing it across the ground.
They top it or they shank it, or and it's ridiculous. And you see, that's not where it comes from. You watch Bubba. Yeah, Bubba does all this crazy stuff and swings it all over the place, and there's movement in his golf swing, but he hits down on every shot he hits.
Sure, yeah.
You
so
watch
does
your
Ryan Palmer.
So
does Brooks Koepka.
Watch your best ball strikers on tour. Watch Rory. He doesn't hit up on it.
No.
He's driving through it.
Yep.
And that's the thing that really gets me.
Can Tiger, what does Tiger have to do? Does he stay with Chris? Does he go back to Butch?
Butch won't take him back.
Does he get everybody out of his life and just figure this out? Because I feel Tiger should be his own instructor. He needs to get the feel back in his game. He's got the swing. He could just say, look, I've got to get back in touch with myself. And decide if I'm going to do this or not.
I'm going to tell you this right now, George, and this is the honest truth. And like I said, Tiger and I were rookies together. We're friends. We were friends back when I played the tour. I haven't talked to him in a few years. But, Tiger needs to get the right people around him to hold him accountable. To say, you know what, you need to be out practicing. You need to be working on this. You don't need somebody holding your hand. You don't need somebody telling you, this and that. Go out and figure it out on your own. Work on your pace. Look, instead of trying to hit 7 irons 190 yards, let's go out and hit them 165, and let's get consistent putting them in a 10, 12-foot circle.
Right.
Go back to basics.
Right.
Go back and work at it from the ground up and rebuild your mental capacity. Don't worry about how far it goes. Put it in the fairway. What's it going to take? What speed is the swing? What do you have to do to drive the ball in play? Once you drive it in play, then work on putting it on the green. And from there, then you can build it. It's like you've heard me say 1,000 times. If you drive a stick shift, you're not starting out in high gear.
No.
You're starting out in first gear, and you better learn to shift to get to high gear.
Right.
Well, if you can't shift gears, you're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
And right now, he's not going anywhere.
He's not going anywhere.
And, that's my rant, folks, and I apologize. I've listened to this all weekend and read it, and, I think people are just out of touch with reality when it comes to the game of golf and how you play it and how you get better. And I'd like to see my friend get back to where he's up there playing against Rory and they have their battles. But unless he changes and unless people can stay out of the way and just let him figure this out, it's going to be tough. It's going to be real tough.
Let me take 20 seconds, Jeff, if you don't mind. Is Tiger at a crossroads right now?
I don't think there's any question. There's no question.
Does Tiger at 39 years old need to go ahead and make the decision? Do I just go ahead and call it quits now? Or does he get back full 100%? Like you said, he has to want it. He's got to make that decision here. By going through the motions with a Chris Como or whoever, yeah, he's outwardly appearing to be on the comeback and changing the swing again and all this. But I think up here in that head, he's at a crossroads.
Oh, he's definitely at a crossroads. And I know Tiger, and Tiger's not one that quits. I just think he needs to sit down and just really dig deep and look inside himself and say, this is what I have to do to get better, and sit back and say, okay, I've got to start over from the ground up and work on my tempo, my pace, work on getting the ball into play, and start shooting scores. Get back to playing the game. It's a game, for crying out loud. Play the game and stick with the game and stick with your game plan. Quit worrying about trying to hit it over this bunker or trying to hit it not. Put it in the fairway. Put it like you've heard me say, dink and dunk. Point A to point B to point C. If he will go back to something like that, then we can start to see what we used to see, and see him shooting 22 under par, 20 under par, winning majors and doing stuff. But right now, the way he's going about it, the guy's not. He doesn't deserve to be in the top 50 in the world, which he's not anymore.
Yeah.
So, I listened to these people talk about Brandel and that, and it was upsetting because they go, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Well, it's because you don't understand, folks. You don't understand what it takes to play competitive golf on the highest level.
Yep.
And that's the thing that aggravates me. You can teach golf to the average golfer, and that's great. Stick to it. You don't know what it takes to play the PGA Tour. You've never been there. Only those that have been there understand what it takes. You're going to go through bad times. You're going to go through some great times. How do you come out of the bad times is what's going to separate you down the road, and that's what's going to separate Tiger George. And, I wish him all the best. I hope that something does come about this, but I think that instructors that seem to have their opinions and want to talk about Rocco and all these other things being said, you need to sit back and think about where you came from, because you don't understand what they're talking about, and that's why it aggravates you and that's why it confuses you.
Thanks for letting me join you on this
I
commentary.
appreciate it, and thank you all for joining us. Is that okay?